June 25th, something historic happened inside the Nigerian Senate. A bill passed, with more than 2/3 of senators voting in favor, on the floor of the chamber by manual count. It was not just any bill. It was a constitutional amendment that rewrites the most fundamental principle of Nigerian governance since independence, that there is one police force, federal, central, controlled from Abuja, not anymore. As of June 25, 2026, Nigeria's National Assembly has voted to create 36 state police services. 36 separate police forces in 36 states, controlled by 36 governors. And the country that just approved this is the same country where at least 80 school children are still being held hostage by militants. Right now, as you watch this, something has broken inside Nigeria's security system, and this is the emergency response. To understand how a country arrives at a decision this enormous this week, you have to understand what has been happening in the years before it. Nigeria operates under a single, centralized police force. The Nigeria Police Force, under Section 214 of the 1999 Constitution, no other police force can exist in the country. On paper, it covers 230 million people across 36 states, across a territory roughly the size of Egypt. In practice, it does not cover them. As of 2026, Nigeria has fewer than 400,000 police officers for a population of over 230 million. The United Nations recommends 1 officer per 450 citizens. Nigeria has roughly 1 per 575, and those officers are not evenly distributed. The South gets more, the rural North gets less. The places that need them most have the fewest. Meanwhile, Boko Haram in the northeast, ISWAP in the Lake Chad Basin, bandits across the northwest, unknown gunmen across the southeast, farmer herder violence in the Middle Belt, kidnapping operations from Zamfara to the Niger Delta. The central force was not failing. It had already failed. Senate leader Opeyemi Bamidele put it plainly on the Senate floor this week. The centralized structure of the Nigeria police force has become overstretched, under-resourced, and unable to provide the level of security required in a nation of over 230 million people. He was not making a political speech. He was describing a reality every Nigerian already knows. Because in the absence of a functioning federal police, something else happened. People built their own. In the southwest, Yoruba communities established Amotekun, a regional security outfit that now operates across 6 states, speaks the local language, understands the terrain, and has disrupted kidnapping networks that federal police could not locate. In the southeast, communities established Ebube Agu, a vigilante network responding to the surge of violence from unknown gunmen and separatist agitation that the federal government could not contain. In parts of the north, Hisbah, Sharia enforcement bodies operating in states where Islamic law runs parallel to federal civil law, became de facto community police in some districts. None of these outfits had legal authority to carry firearms. None had constitutional standing. All of them were filling a void. Nigeria had already created 36 security systems. It just had not made them legal. The man who finally did make it legal is Bola Tinubu. He took office in 2023, promising a new Nigeria. What he inherited was a broken one. His predecessors, Buhari, Jonathan, Yaradua, Obasanjo, had all discussed state police. For decades, the idea had circulated through committees, conferences, and constitutional review processes without ever becoming law. The argument against it was always the same: governors cannot be trusted with police. That argument had history behind it. During Nigeria's First Republic, regional police forces were used by political leaders to suppress opponents, harass journalists, and rig elections. When the military took over in 1966, one of their first decisions was to centralize policing. precisely because regional forces had been weaponized. 60 years later, the same fear sits at the center of the debate. Here is the thing that nobody wants to say out loud. The critics are not wrong. 24 hours after the Senate passed the bill, a thick cloud of anxiety, skepticism, and high-octane debate enveloped the nation's political landscape. Retired security chiefs warned of funding crises. Opposition lawyers warned of constitutional vulnerability. And the most pointed warning of all came from inside the Senate chamber itself. Senator Ali Ndume, one of those who voted for the bill, said this openly: if you create a state police under the state governor, once the governor does not like you, he will call the police commissioner there and say, "Kai, go and pick Charles and lock him up till next month." A senator describing what he fears about a bill he just voted to pass. That tension is not hypocrisy. It is the exact dilemma at the heart of this reform. The central police has failed. But the people being asked to run local police are the same governors who run state electoral commissions, bodies already widely accused of manipulating local government elections across Nigeria. The same governors who appointed the same commissioners, the same governors who will face re-election contests in 2027. And 2027 is 11 months away. The bill contains safeguards. They are real and they matter. A state commissioner of police can challenge directives from a governor considered unlawful or inconsistent with policing standards. And where disputes arise, the National Police Council's decision is final. Federal intervention remains possible where there is a breakdown of law and order, where a governor requests help, or where a state police service becomes non-functional. No existing local security outfit, not Amotekun, not Ebube Agu, not Hisbah, shall automatically become a state police service or carry firearms under the proposed law. These are not cosmetic provisions. They represent genuine attempts to solve a genuine problem. The question is whether they are strong enough. Nigeria's history is filled with institutions that looked robust on paper and collapsed in practice. The Independent National Electoral Commission, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the Code of Conduct Bureau, each one designed with safeguards. Each one operating in a political environment that tested those safeguards in ways the framers did not fully anticipate. There is a second question nobody is answering loudly enough. Can the states actually pay for this? States that feel they don't have the resources to establish state police will not be forced to. But states like Lagos, Kano, Kaduna, and Oyo, facing enormous security challenges, may decide to establish their own forces. But this means the poorest states, which are also often the most insecure, will have no state police. Zamfara, Yobe, Kebbi, states already overwhelmed by banditry and poverty will be left with an underfunded federal force and no local alternative. Nigeria risks creating a two-tier security system where wealthy states build functional police forces and poor states are left with whatever remains of the overstretched federal service. The insecurity gap between Nigeria's north and south, already significant, could widen. But here is what the critics cannot answer either. The status quo was already a two-tier system. It was just invisible. Communities in Oyo State were already funding Amotekun. Communities in Anambra were already funding Ebube Agu. Communities across the Northwest were already paying taxes to bandits who provided the only order available. The informal security economy in Nigeria is worth billions of naira a year. Communities have been taxing themselves for decades to survive inside a federal security system that does not reach them. The state police bill does not create a new problem. It attempts to formalize and regulate one that already exists. That distinction matters enormously. The bill now travels to the 36 state houses of assembly. If endorsed by at least 24 state houses of assembly, the bill will end the federal government's exclusive control of policing and empower states to establish, fund, and manage their own police services in line with national standards. Presidential assent from Tinubu is expected. He wrote the letter that started this process. He transmitted the bill. He lobbied the legislature. This is his reform. But legislation and implementation are different countries. If 24 assemblies ratify, the constitutional amendment passes. Then comes the enabling legislation. Then the framework. Then the recruitment. Then the training. Then the deployment. If passed by 2/3 of lawmakers and state assemblies, states could establish their own forces alongside the federal police, potentially by late 2026, with phased implementation and federal oversight. That is an extraordinarily ambitious timeline for a country that has debated this for 60 years and is now trying to execute it in months. Back to June 25, 2026. Back to the Senate chamber. 2/3 of Nigerian senators voting manually, standing to be counted, for the most significant constitutional security reform since 1966. The chamber did not break into celebration, it broke into argument. Which is exactly right, because this is not a solved problem. It is a problem being restructured. Nigeria is not creating 36 police forces because it has found the answer to its security crisis. It is creating 36 police forces because the one answer it had, centralization, federal control, Abuja deciding everything, has run out of road. The children are still in the forest. And the country with 230 million people and 400,000 police officers just voted to try something completely different. Whether that something saves Nigeria or gives 36 governors a new tool to finish what the bandits started is the question the next decade will answer.